So, ladies and gentlemen, after a fantastic day's work at the conference here, it's time for the closing speech, and I don't have to introduce him, do I? All I have to say, North West MEP, Nick Griffin.
Thank you very much. Well, as we've been discussing today, and as you already knew, we know that we're externally facing a hard time with the BBC-created puppet UKIP. No point kidding ourselves. It makes life difficult for this party. It makes life difficult for all of us as activists and as campaigners. The thing that you have to understand and get across to people is the absolute certainty that this situation will not continue. UKIP will not be there within a couple of years' time. We won't kill UKIP off. We'll do our best to get across to people the fact that it's not a nationalist party. It's certainly not a party for working people in this country. We'll do our best to get that across, but that's not what will destroy UKIP. What will destroy UKIP is not us, it's Nigel Farage. Farage wants to be first an MEP, then an MP, and then to sit in the House of Lords. That's what he wants to do. He will do anything to achieve that. That's his career path. And he's already said recently he'll go into coalition with either the Tories or the Labour Party after the next election. The price of going into coalition will be one way or another to kill that party stone dead. His ideal will be to take it into the Conservative Party. If the BBC trick works, and the trick is to boost UKIP first to stop us and then to break the Tory vote, if the BBC trick works so that Ed Miliband becomes Prime Minister in 2015, the Tory party will slice David Cameron's throat before the election is virtually over. And they'll have a new leader, and the price of the new leader will do a deal with David Cameron. They'll bring the Tory right back together, and the price of it will be that Cameron will destroy UKIP. Alternatively, if they go into coalition with UKIP still alive as a party, it'll go into the coalition alive. At the other end, it'll come out like the Lib Dems. But even worse, because the Lib Dems actually have some people who are Lib Dem because they've always been Lib Dem, 20, 30, 40 years, or even because their parents are Liberal. UKIP's vote is purely new, and they will be destroyed if they go into coalition. One of those two things is going to happen. UKIP won't be there forever. For now, they are blocking our way. There's no doubt about it. But they won't be there forever. In the future, there will be a huge gap. It'll be a bigger gap than what we faced before UKIP came about. Because one of the things that UKIP has done, combined with the coalition, is that they've helped to destroy the Lib Dems. Because the Lib Dem vote was always, more than anything else, I hate the Tories and I hate the Labour Party, so I'll do something different. And all they could do was vote Lib Dem. Now they can vote UKIP as well. So they're destroying the Lib Dems, they've destroyed the English Democrats, they make it impossible for any so-called rival to us to get established. They've ensured that we're the only nationalist team on the block. So when they go, there's going to be an enormous gap in British politics. And it's got to be our job to fill it. On top of that, as that strikes in 2 or 3 years' time, I think that's the likely timescale of how long before the emerging markets financial cataclysm, which is going on right now, how long it is before that really strikes home. It's going to strike home in southern Europe in a big way quite soon, but it'll probably be a couple of years before it strikes home in Britain. But it is going to strike home. I think we're getting quite close to the point where the whole Western banking system cannot be repaired, it cannot be rejuvenated, it cannot be kept out of total chaos and really serious financial pain of a sort that'll be what's going on in Greece now will be 10 times worse. And what's going on in Greece now will be happening in Britain, with all the same consequences, particularly for a radical nationalist political party that's been around the block, that's been there, that's known about, and has got a really good hard core of people. It's going to be our time. It's already certain that we're going to survive. It's not a question, will the BNP survive? A couple of years ago, that was in question. You all know that. It wasn't sure. After the bust-up of 2010, 2011, we had 5 rivals, or would-be rivals, nationalist grouplets, vaguely serious ones. 5 rivals. 4 of those rivals are now dead, gone, finished, or moribund and never ever able to go anywhere. We've got one of the 5 left. That's pretty good. We're the only ones standing and doing something effectively. And the only one that's surviving is run by a con man and a pikey. And all they want is money. And everyone can see all they want is money. When you've got your party leader, when there's videos out there of the party leader being caught by an ex-serviceman trying to blag money for Help for Heroes, when in fact it's going in his own pocket. That's not going anywhere, that thing. We're the only game in town. We survived. But it isn't enough just that we've survived, because the gap that's going to be created when UKIP crumbles, when Farage kills it, the gap that's going to be created when that coincides with an economic cataclysm is too big for this party as it now stands to fill. We don't have the manpower. We don't have the skills. We don't have the assets yet to fill that gap. So it's not enough that we just survive these 2 years until UKIP's gone, 3 years until UKIP's gone. It's not enough just to hang on, just to grit our teeth and get through it. We know we can do that. We've got to do more than that. At the end of those 2 or 3 years, we've got to be ready to take advantage of this enormous opportunity. And that's the question that we've got to address. How, not how are we going to survive, we've done it, but how are we going to grow? How are we going to strengthen our roots? How are we going to organise to fill the gap? Well, in one way, we're very lucky that the motor of growth for this party historically has always been, in fact, elections. Big elections. Before we started winning, the motor, which has always brought people in, has been big elections when, courtesy of the free post, we get to put out millions of leaflets, and some of them fall on stony ground, some of them sow seeds for the future, but every now and again one of them finds a new diamond activist, a new diamond organiser. It's a numbers game. You throw out enough, you get some back, and that's what keeps us going. It's what replaces the natural wastage of any organisation. You've all had comrades who died. No, none of us get any younger, and unless we get any new people coming in, one way or another, you gradually shrink. And the times we get new people in is when we have these huge throwouts of leaflets, and the ones we're going to be putting out this time will be many times better than we've done before, far, far more effective, coordinated with a far better campaign. So we are going to bring in new people. That's the first stage, so that's why this election matters, and we're very lucky that in just over a year's time, we've got another one. So it's bang, bang, millions and millions and millions of leaflets going out, getting our message across and attracting people to us. And in the old days, it was either they joined us or there was no contact. Nowadays, we've got the other advantage. They may not join us, but if they just like it a bit and get used to coming to see our website once a week or whatever, or sign up to Facebook, sign up to Twitter and so on, then we've got a regular contact. That's the way to bring people in. So that's going to happen. We've got to do more than that. As Jeff Dickens said earlier on, at times the movement's like a bath with the tap on but the plug out. We've got to work really seriously hard to put the plug back in the bath, to hold people. How do we do that? We've got to enthuse them, we've got to involve them, and we've got to improve them. And as we get these people, the beauty of new people is that if you're dealing with an old hand, yeah, well, we know what we do in the BNP, don't we? We stick leaflets through doors. And that's what they've always done. They stuck the leaflets through doors. Now, I'm not decrying people putting leaflets through doors. I love putting leaflets through doors, actually. It's good exercise. It's that little frisson. Is there a dog waiting on the other side of the letterbox? You know what it's like and so on. But I enjoy it. It's not particularly effective, but it's a damn sight more effective than sitting complaining and doing nothing. And at least it's good for you. But overall, we don't want the new people just to think, that's what I do in the BNP, I'll put leaflets through doors. We want the new people immediately to come into contact with the people here today and the people like us, the people who are going to take notice of what we've been doing today. What we do in the BNP, you want to be involved in the BNP, you come with us and you get postal votes. That's what you do in the BNP. Or you go to a new town with us and you stand there going, there you are, love, there you are, sir, there you go. Not, would you like a leaflet? There you are. One for you. Take it. It's just the new people will automatically take on the best of what we now do. So most of all, like I say, let me reiterate it. What do we do in the BNP? We get postal votes. Even if you only get one in a day, that's a victory. We get postal votes. That's what this party does. So as you get new people, you can get them doing the right things. But beyond that, because it's a hard old struggle, it's getting those. I've been sitting and thinking and discussed this with a number of key colleagues over the last couple of weeks. And I think that we need to set ourselves a series of extra targets for over the next 2 years. Because over the next 2 years, yes, we can win an election, as a matter of fact. We can win in Europe, and we can win local council seats if we got the postal votes working. But it's going to be difficult. It's against the grain. It'll be a shock. All the better if we do it, but it will be a shock. So we need a set of targets which are guaranteed success. Because that's what we need to carry people through these 2-3 more hard, barren years, or relatively barren years. We've got to actually give people successes. So if they can't have successes, they'll get demoralised. You know, you're banging your head against a brick wall. So what successes are we going to have? We need a programme. First of all, I believe, and we'll be doing this, but I need your help. First of all, we need a serious programme of ideological development. During the good years of electioneering, 2002 really on to 2009, we were concentrating so much on elections. We were running, there's always another one, and we had to neglect ideological development and ideological training. And it's really important because we're asking people to go through another 2 or 3 relatively hard years when UKIP's out there doing so well, and they think, well, you know, why aren't we doing like that? Well, the moment you ideologically understand that they are not nationalists at all, and there's this enormous gulf between their reactionary right-wing Toryism and nationalism, between their idea of me, and the nationalist idea of us, us, us. It's a gigantic ideological, philosophical, almost a religious difference between them and us. And we have to work to get that across to people. We have to get across the fact that we are not in competition with them to take over and manage the system. Because the system under which our people labour, under which our people are being destroyed, is utterly corrupt, utterly abhorrent. We don't want to manage it. We don't want to control it. We want to smash it and replace it with something better. And perhaps most of all, because many of the activists in UKIP, and actually they haven't got that many to be fair, or to be realistic, but many of the people who follow UKIP, many of the people, they're good people. They're just being misled. It's not surprising they're being misled, because it's a very wicked and very effective con trick. But they are being misled. And they think that, yeah, well, UKIP, they talk about immigration, but in a softer, cleverer way than the BNP and so on. So perhaps we can go along with that, perhaps get somewhere better. And we need to get across, particularly to those people, that no, they're not talking about it in a cleverer way. They're talking about it in a cowardly way. They're dodging the issue. And their solution, their answer to immigration, of saying, well, actually, we rather like it. It's OK, really, but it's just a bit too much of it. We just need to slow it down. We need to get across to them that that is utterly unacceptable. It's unacceptable for this reason more than anything else. And this is a key thing we have to get across. That immigration did not happen by accident. It's not just something that's happened. It's a deliberate decision and cold-hearted, brutally cruel policy by the same people that created the European Union. UKIP go on about how the purpose of the European Union, or one of its tactics, is to destroy the nation states so that on the ruins of the nation state you can build an empire state. They understand that, but the same people who created that system also, right from the very beginning, understood that it's all well and good them smashing up the nation states, but as long as the people that created those nation states are alive and exist and have knowledge of their own identity, they can overthrow their tyrannical masters at any time and rebuild their nation states. They can have back their currency. They can have back the control of their own armed forces, control of their borders. They can rebuild their economy. They can have back their currency. Whatever they want, they can do it. They can get it back. And so when these evil people set about creating this evil empire, they also set about using mass immigration and miscegenation deliberately and calculatedly to destroy our people. It's arguably genocide, it's certainly ethnocide, and it was quite deliberate. It's the greatest crime in human history, what has been done to the European peoples of the world. So just to say it's been a great crime and we'd rather it stops now, or at least the murder's finished off slowly, it's not enough. We have to say this is a crime scene. The people who committed this crime need to be brought to justice. And we need to reverse, as far as is possible, we need to reverse the crime. We need to stop the murder. We need to get the rope that's tied around our people's neck being strangled. We need to stop it and reverse it. So just saying, as UKIP do, we're going to slow immigration down just so we can assimilate it. No, it's a crime against our people, and our job is to stop it, undo it, reverse it, and bring the criminals to justice. And we need to, and we will, but I need your help to develop that understanding, that ideology, so that there's clear white water between us and them. One, to hold our people, give our people the moral courage to keep on going when times are hard, and also to work to poach their people, to get good people out of that party, because once they understand that the attack on the nation state's only half of it, once they understand that the attack on the blood and the identity of our people is the other half of it, then, well, logically, they've got to say, well, why, Mr Farage, why aren't you talking about that? I guarantee you this, as soon as a UKIP branch starts to talk about things like that, Farage will throw them out. And they'll come to us, providing we develop this and got it across. So we need to do that. That's the first thing. Ideological, clean white water between us and them. Second thing we need is a really serious effort to build up social solidarity. Our people standing together and looking after each other. First of all, within the movement, within the party, looking after our own people, we need far more concentration on social events. Not because socials raise money, but because socials bring people together. They hold people together. They give people a sense of identity, a sense of belonging, a reason to stay when times are hard. We need to really work hard on that. You can do it in little local ways. I remember one of the things that John Salvage from the Black Country is not here today, but he organised, we had a lovely day when he organised a family walk up a local landmark in Shropshire, and then a pub afternoon afterwards. Absolutely great. Raised a little bit of money, but certainly I'm sure everyone else who was on that still remember that as a really good day out. We don't do enough of that, partly because we've been so busy racing in elections and so on, that we forget. And this party has to be about much more than elections, although in the end, elections are the things that really count. But we've got to work on other things as well. So internally, we need to, as I say, have this family approach. We need to do more to look after our own people, especially when they're persecuted or when they fall on hard times. We need a Nationalist Welfare Association, which little by little raises money and so on, so that if someone has some kind of problem, they're there in some way to look out and help for them. There's someone who's on a rota to, if someone's locked up in prison or whatever for being a nationalist, for being a patriot, it needs to be automatic. There's actually a system whereby people think, have they got a wife, a girlfriend, kids and whatever? Are they looked after? Has someone phoned them? That sort of thing needs to be done. We need to formalise looking after our own people, because when it really hits the fan, the kind of pressure we've been under hasn't broken us. They will turn from the subtle ways of trying to break us, the legal attacks and so on. They'll turn to the naked ways of trying to break us they're now using in Greece. Because you're dealing with a ruthless totalitarian system which wants us out of the way so they can finish off killing our people. And when they find they don't break us with the petty harassment and the legal cases, then they'll get rougher. You all know that, don't you? I'm sure. Yeah. So don't you think we should also do something about it, so when the time comes, there's a network of people who are already there to help people, rather than when it comes, we suddenly think, do you know what? We really should have created something to look after these people back 2 years ago. We need to do it in advance. So we need a Nationalist Welfare Association, social solidarity. It's true externally as well. A couple of people have said today, and you hear it all the time, a passing reference to how stupid the British public are. It's very wrong, that, actually. It's unfair and it's not true. They're told by the mass media that it really matters who wins the next general election between Tweedledum and Tweedledee. And all the scribblers and all the thinkers and all the paper writers say and believe it really matters. Ordinary people out there look at it and think, what a load of shite. And they walk away from it. More and more and more don't get involved in elections because they think it doesn't make any difference. Because they say, no, all politicians, they're all the bloody same. Is that a stupid judgment? No, it's not. It's not stupid in the slightest. What evidence have they got of anything else The fact the BBC tells them it makes a difference, that the Daily Mail and the Daily Mirror say Tweedle blue is better than Tweedle red or whatever. All the propaganda is there, everything they learn from school, it matters. Of course it doesn't matter, because they are all the bloody same. And is it really surprising when we say we're not the same, we're different? Would it be clever of them to believe us or not? Why should they believe another set of bloody politicians? How many times do people have to be bitten before they give up and avoid that particular dog from now on? And that's what we are, I'm afraid. And we can go on till we're blue in the face, telling them that we're different. I tell you, it won't have any effect. More and more and more, every single election, despite what we do, despite in Wythenshawe, as we said before, we put in an unbelievable campaign. It forced Labour to actually mobilise and do something and start banging doors, telling them if the BNP get in, they'll close down the hospital. And UKIP didn't put in that much of a campaign, but they had the campaign of the entire mass media behind them. And despite that, only 28% of the people voted. And there's only 28% of the people registered to vote. Another 20% in Wythenshawe aren't registered to vote. So something like 20%, 1 in 5 people voted, even with us putting in a great campaign and being radical and people saying you've got to stop the BNP, and with UKIP being there in full blast. 80% of the people are totally given up. And there's nothing we can say is going to change them. I'll tell you that now. Nothing, let me repeat that. Nothing we can say, nothing we put on leaflets is going to change the opinion of the public who've given up on politics. The only way we can reach them is to do things. Propaganda, not of the word, but propaganda of the deed. We have to do things. Now, there's various things we'll find that we can do, but we already know what we can do. And down in London, they're making headway on this with 2 different forms of food bank. The one that Kevin was talking about earlier on, which is static on the street, where weekend after weekend they're there, and weekend after weekend, more people bring along more food than take away food. So it's self-perpetuating. And a very interesting one, I was speaking with Mike Jones, who's one of the great activists who's not here this weekend because he's working, driving his cab. And he was telling me about, there's an activist down there called Pat, the smashing chap, who only joined the party a year ago, and he came up with the idea with doing a door-to-door food round. So they went out with just £20 investment to start with, and a little trolley they've got done, set up, and they go around just knocking doors, and initially they're just knocking the yes voters that they canvassed last time. And they're telling them what they're doing, and some people, would you like help or can you help? And a few people are wanting help and are really grateful for it, and others are giving help. And they're all really impressed that people are doing something. And then, not straight away, because there has to be a degree of subtlety here, a little bit further down the line, Mike's going along, getting converted into postal votes. So this thing feeds into, it ties into actual cold-blooded electioneering. But the point about it is there's nothing cold-blooded about it at all. Look at our logo, for God's sake, it's a heart. Is it just stuck there on a piece of canvas, or is it actually real? What's it going to be? Do we mean that we've got a heart? Yeah? Right, good. Well, let's get out there and start doing it and showing it, because we know how easy it is. We know it works. It takes between £20 and £50 to start it. All right, any one of you who contacts me over the next 2 weeks and you want to start a food round, I'll give you £50 from my Good Causes Fund. Right? It's still there, despite everything. Let's get going with this. Let's make this work, because the more we do, the more we'll find ways to have an effect. We'll find other ways, but we've got to make a start somewhere. And it may be that's a better idea. There probably is a better idea, but no one's come up with it so far. So let's start with the best idea that we've got right now, or rather let's follow up, because it's not under starting it, it's already being done. But let's spread it. I'll give you an idea of where it could go to. You have a door-to-door round. I think that's more effective than standing with a big table in a street, because you're at risk of people coming and having a go at it and all the rest of it, and you're actually tying it into the area which is your target. I think that's the way to go. I think the other ones should carry on, but most of all, I think door-to-door rounds are the way. That's really the way into a community. What better way of recruiting new people, especially from those who've given up on politics, when they actually find that you're helping like that? And especially a way of recruiting women. In a very crude, simplistic way, men are designed to fight, women are designed to care. It's the way it is. We need to recruit women in this cause far, far more. And we can talk about caring till we're blue in the face and talk about not shutting the hospital. They all do that. and then they shut it once they're in power. If you actually want to win over women in particular, then you've got to show that you care, do things that prove that you care. So we need to get on with that. Once we've got those new people, it gives us the potential then. Dot was saying earlier on, but there's not enough people to man the stations. Well, this is the way to recruit people, because if you get people involved in one thing, and then you bet your life that sooner or later the local press will attack us over this, then every single person in that community who's either given or received aid from the ward food bank will feel, oh, they're attacking me as well. Because I gave a tin of beans. I'm not a Nazi fanatic trying to exploit people's poverty. I believed it was a way of helping. So they'll be aggrieved at that and they'll come to us. It's a way to recruit new people, especially recruiting ladies, gives us a way to organise local social events. It's a tiny step from giving pensioners food parcels or an electricity card at Christmas, a tiny step from that to inviting them to a ward social party. And then the rest of their family know about it and so on. So it's a tiny step from there into at these events, or just door to door, doing regularly a raffle, a scratch card. Instead of paying the idiot tax when it's 14 million to 1 odds on winning, do a local scratch card raffle thing when 50% of the proceeds go into buying and running, for instance, a community minibus. Because the bus service has been axed, so people have to go take a taxi to go shopping or to go sign on again 5, 6, 7 miles away. So, for instance, a raffle is going to support a community minibus. It's a tiny jump from going, asking and talking at our food bank to saying, by the way, while we're at it, have you got any bric-a-brac, any stuff that we can sell on a car boot sale to raise money to make this more effective? It's a tiny step. It's not a big step from doing a regular bric-a-brac collection to sell on eBay at a car boot sale to say, look at the high street. It's full of empty shops. We can get an empty shop for 25 quid a week. And then how about beginning a series of shops? Charity begins at home. Everything you donate to this charity will go to raise money for local people. Not for people in Pakistan with its nuclear program. Not for people in China with its space program. For people in this town. For our people. How about that? Yeah. Would that work? Yeah. It's a small step, isn't it? Which is why one of the first leaflets on the leaflet app is going to be a basic leaflet for food banks and so on. And as you develop them, and if you come back to us and so on with a leaflet you've tried and stuff, right, we'll have a whole series of leaflets about the different stages of the food bank, because I think it's really important. I think everyone really gets it. And of course, never forget that in the end, this has got to touch down into serious immediate politics. So every time someone's impressed, every time someone's pleased, your reward, postal vote form. Right? We've done something for them. Even the ones who've given, we've done something for them because we've made them feel good. We've made them feel I've done something to help poor people in this country, in this area. So we've made them feel good. They're obliged to us. They owe us. Right. Payment. Sign the postal vote form. Interest on our gift. Get your neighbour to sign the postal vote form. So it comes in to where we're trying to go. Propaganda of the deed. The third thing, it will bring more people in, and it'll hold people. Because instead of just being bad, 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 extreme, 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 whatever the media say about us, everyone involved in this or hearing about it will know that we're good, 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 genuine, 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 heart, heart, heart. So we won't lose people, we'll keep people. What do we do with them? We've got to do more practical training. More training of people, 2 levels, personal skills. So everything from speaking, presentation, producing a CV, all sorts of things like that. We should do far more, so that instead of someone gets involved with us, youngsters especially, and their parents think, oh no, that's their lives ruined. Instead of that, the parents should actually come along and think, oh, they taught him how to type. No one at school thought of doing that. They spend all their lives on computers like this because they don't teach them how to type. So simple personal things like that we should be doing. And then the use of our equipment, things like a digital duplicator. Things like producing the leaflets that go on the digital duplicator. Things like driving. There's no point aiming to develop in due course minibuses. I'm not talking next week, I'm talking several years down the line. There's no point having a minibus unless you've got a pool of drivers. So perhaps we want Alwyn Deacon. He's a driving instructor. So for instance, people get involved with us. We teach them how to drive. subsidised courses, all sorts of things like that to develop people's personal and political skills. We need to do that very seriously. On the ideological side, it's in here. On the practical side, it's with the hands on the practicalities. There's no point having ideas without practical ways of getting them across. There's no point having practical ways of getting things across if you just got a populist mush. You've got to have the two together. Hardline, real nationalists with real skills to build and expand the movement. That's what we're after. Finally, we need a programme for the next 2-3 years of acquiring assets, making this party materially better off, because better off is more effective. Things such as, initially regionally, but in due course, branch by branch, basic stuff, such as building back up, first of all, our digital duplicator fleet, so that we can produce really good, really local propaganda, bang like that, really fast. Something arises, we're there to take advantage of it. Things such as the monster loud hailers that we've now got, that blow the whole high street away, basically off a handheld thing. What were they, 150 quid? I believe they weren't very expensive, but they're far better than what anyone else has got. We need those. We need every region with a full set of kit, placards, flags, all the rest of it, a party flag. Going to have a party flag very soon. And we need every region. We've got that stuff in a depot, little place, ready to go, all signed for, so that something arises and bang. We've got perhaps not hundreds of people, because we're not at that stage. People can't afford it. But a small group of people, committed and in touch, something comes up, they know they're equipped, they know there's the money for a tank of petrol, and off they go and they do the business and put our message across. That's the kind of thing that we need to work on. Nationally, we need to seriously look at national assets as well. One of the great assets, I'm sure you know, he's filming me right now, it's the cameras, the equipment we've got for BNP TV, the lights, everything. It's a great asset. We've invested thousands of pounds in that. It's the best investment we've ever done in terms of our reach and so on. My initial cookery video has now been seen by about 60,000 people, I believe. Absolutely phenomenal. And it's humanising. And I'm wearing a Help for Heroes shirt. And I've had people stop me in the street and so they've seen it. I'm slightly embarrassed because it's actually very, very simplistic cooking. I'm a far better cook than that, but nevertheless, it's a start. But BNP TV made that possible. Got us enormous amounts of publicity out of something we did for a bit of fun. So we need to invest more money in BNP TV, and in due course we need regional crews. We need to build on that. We need to seriously invest in the skills and the equipment and the recognition of our multimedia team, because they're so, so important. And finally, a lot of what I've talked about there, social events, training, bringing people together, it would be far, far easier if we had a place of our own. If we had somewhere reasonably accessible, somewhere in the central belt of England, where we've got a farm, not a huge farm, but a farm, house, barns, a festival site. Do you think so? Yeah. The beauty of that is we wouldn't even have to go and buy somewhere which is all tip-top and all properly done up. If the Labour Party wanted to do it, they'd have to have it all properly done up by people they brought in. They bring in Polish labourers by the score to do the buildings up and all the rest of it. Have we got to do that? No, because we've got British National Party brickies and chippies and electricians and plasterers and skilled men and women who can come in and do it as a labour of love and do it, have youngsters come along there as well so they learn the rudiments of a trade. Oh, actually, I can plaster. Well, then go and get a course, go and do a course and so on. We can use it to bring our people in. And we've got fellas in this party of ours who haven't used their own skill, their proper trade, for years because there is no work or because they're stacking shelves when they're a skilled, time-served plasterer, electrician, plumber. It's outrageous and it's demeaning. And if we're working on somewhere, at least for a little time, and forever afterwards when they come back there, when they bring their friends and their family and say, I did that wall, I built that, that's part of me. That we can do. It's within our grasp. We have the labour, we have the skills, and we have the heart. If we want it, we can do it. Question is, do we want it? Do we want that? Yeah. Right. Yeah. If we want it, we can have it, if we want it badly enough. And I've looked a little bit, And in the region of £650,000 to £700,000, even in the Warwickshires and the Leicestershires and the Staffordshires, really the centre, which with respect to Cumbria or Cornwall or Kent, lovely places, but it's too far for most people to come. We've got to pick somewhere basically central. But in that central belt, you can get somewhere which is in need of renovation, which has got the farmhouse and perhaps a bungalow and a huge set of outbuildings that can be converted and enough land for an RWB site and storage and a training centre and everything that we want to do. You can pick that up for about £700,000. So for a total of £1 million, we can buy and have somewhere which is just stunning, which is then the base in 2 or 3 years' time, which is how long we're looking realistically. Just as we're getting that, that's the moment when our moment of opportunity arises, and then we've got somewhere we can bring people for training weekends, for social weekends, for whole week-long courses, instead of having to worry, well, if we have it in that place, will the police come along? Will they threaten the landlord? Will we have reds there and whatever? It'll be ours, under our own control. Now, £1 million may sound like a lot of money. It is a lot of money. But we've had stripped off us hundreds of thousands of pounds in the last 3 years in endless legal battle on someone else's turf that we don't want to be on. And we're almost out of all those now. So then all of a sudden, instead of having to waste all that money and all that energy fighting the establishment on the establishment's turf, we can do our own thing, literally on our own turf. So that's then less of a worry. But easier still than that, I would say, is the fact that £1 million is less than 2 houses in London. The average house price in London is now about £550,000. So 2 bequests from 2 people in London, as for instance, or for anywhere in the southeast of England, ordinary people who just 30, 40, 50 years ago bought a house. That's the kind of money you're now talking, that if they would leave that to us, then 2 of those, and we got it with cash to spare. Or looking at another way, if just 10 people, it could be 2 or 3 in this room, if just 10 people who haven't yet made a will, who do own things which are worth leaving, were to say, I bequeath to the British National Party, even if not a whole lot, £100,000. 10 of them, and it's done. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but I would say this, that if we do this, and if we decide to really push it and plug it, and I'd like your considered opinions in due course about this, if we decide we're going to do this, and I think we should, if we decide we're going to do it, then we set ourselves a basic target that we'll push to start with, because we've got elections to fight. We've got campaigns to run, we've got campaigning assets to do, we've got food banks to do, we've got postal votes to get. So we're not going to throw everything at this because it's an extra. So to start with, we'll simply push for more bequests, knowing that some of those people will live for 20, 30 years. We want our people to live for a very long time, naturally, and to keep on with the cause. But the law of averages is if you have 100 people signed up on bequests, a couple of them are going to die every year. Bang, bang, bang. It's quite simple. So if we get people in and we get these bequests signed up, we will know that at some point, how far in the future is just a matter of fate. But at some point in the future, we'll get to the stage when in our land and our conference centre, our social centre fund, we have £500,000. We're halfway there. The minute we're halfway there, then we can start fundraising for it. And every single local branch and group can start holding social events and all the rest of it, because once we're over halfway, the money will pour in quite quickly. And it can be done if we've got the ambition and if we want to do it. And like I say, I think we should. Not least because in itself it's a stepping stone. Because once we've got that, we're able to train people better. We're able to build the party comradeship better. We're able to be more effective as a party and carry on and do other things. And the way to get to it, like I've said, there's nothing I've said this afternoon, I don't believe, which is an impossible jump. It's all one thing, leads on to another, leads on to another. And the only question mark is how long we reach before 2 or 3 people or 10 people who've remembered the party and the will for this specific purpose, how long before that money comes through. We know it's a guaranteed. If we set ourselves the firm desire to do it, it's guaranteed it will happen, just step by step by step. But the first step, the very first step, is what today has been all about, and it's about running a really good election campaign in May for the local elections and for the European elections, fighting to win seats, but also fighting to win new members, fighting to use that free post to get our message out far and wide, because most of the people who leave us bequests aren't even members. They're members of the public who just respect what we do. People who've looked for years at what we do and think, my God, I wouldn't dare do that. But I respect those people who do it. And you know what? Bastards. I know what I'll do. To the British National Party, I leave. Bang. They leave it because they respect what you've done, what we've done together. And we don't even know that they exist. There's more of them out there like now. And every time we put out a million leaflets, there's a few more people think, I wonder, should I remember them in my will? That's the way it works. So this good campaign is about getting in people. It's about getting in new activists. It's about spreading our message for the future. It's about getting across the fact that we have not gone away, that we are not going away. In fact, we are on our way. It's a long road, but it is the right road. It doesn't matter how long it takes us on this road, because, my friends, we're on it together. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you all.